Setting their sights on Thais with a furlong to run, and Mississippi's right behind her. It is Thais clinging to the lead. Sister Charlie runs up alongside of her. Mississippi runs well down the center. It is Sister Charlie, Mississippi 1-2 down to the wire. Sister Charlie, the definition of class, takes the Flower Bowl over.
Welcome back to the Racing Rundown Podcast, another episode in the Breeders' Cup previews, where we cover all 14 Breeders' Cup races. I'm Eric Decoster. I'm filling in for Jack Sargent today. You can follow me on Twitter at EricDecoTBreads. I cover pretty much every aspect of the sport of kink, so at EricDecoTBreads on Twitter if you'd like to give that a follow. And we'll hop right into it. Today we're discussing the filly and mare turf in the Distaff, two extremely deep, talented races, strong fields, and we'll get right into it. The filly and mare turf going 1.25 miles at Santa Anita, going down the downhill turf course. The Grade 1 event, and it's obviously highlighted by the defending champion, Sister Charlie. Has been super impressive this year. She's 3 for 3 this year, all Grade 1 wins, a total of 6 straight Grade 1 wins for this mare. She's definitely the class of this field. My one knock on her is that she hasn't been beating large fields. They've been quality fields. They've been very top heavy, I should say. A couple really good horses in a field of, decent horses, but not, Grade 1 Breeders' Cup winning quality animals. And they've all been small fields. For instance, last time, the Flower Bowl, 2 of those rivals returned in this race. Mississippi, who I actually think is a really nice horse, good chance in this race. And Thais, who's pretty much Sister Charlie's rabbit. So, we can't she's a talented filly in her own right, but probably a Grade 2, Grade 3 level horse if we're giving her anything. But Sister Charlie, we can't take away from the fact that she is the class of this race. Super talented. The distance isn't a factor. She knows how to ship well, and she's just going to be tough in this spot. There's no other way to put it. She is a super nice horse. We'll go right into this runner-up from her last start, Sister Charlie's last start, the Flower Bowl. Mississippi was second in that. 2 starts back, her U.S. debut for trainer Graham Motion. She won the Glen Falls at Saratoga, going 11 furlongs. She returned then in her next start in the Flower Bowl, and she really gave Sister Charlie a run for her money. Lost by about a length or 2, but ran in a super, super impressive race. I definitely liked her coming out of that more than I like Sister Charlie, purely because we've seen Sister Charlie's best, and we know that the Flower Bowl probably wasn't her best. Another thing I really like about Mississippi, before she came to the U.S., her 3-year-old year, she was facing very good horses. Sea of Class, who unfortunately succumbed to colic earlier in the year, was a top-level 3-year-old filly a year ago. She nearly beat Enable in the Arc last fall. And this Mississippi filly was running second to her in graded stakes multiple times in Europe. So that's another really high mark that she set there. She's a live horse. She likes this distance. She's trending upward. Mississippi, if I have one horse who's going to test Sister Charlie, it's going to be her. Now on to some European horses. There's quite a few in this spot, but the one that I think really is going to give them all the Americans a run for their money, is Villa Marina. Villa Marina is a French filly for trainer Carlos Lafon-Paray. She won the Prix de l'Opera in her last out over this distance and over a very strong group of fillies. Fleeting, who returns in this race, I think she's a nice filly. She beat her by a neck, and she also beat Annapurna, who won the Epsom Oaks earlier in the year. The only time she's missed the board in her career was going 1.5 miles in a Group 1 in France, where she actually finished 4th and was once again behind a really good group of horses in that spot, including Starcatcher, who won the Fillies and Mare Stakes at Ascot 2 weeks ago. So obviously really nice back class, and I was going a distance. That's definitely too far for her. And 3 back, she actually won a stakes going 1.25 miles over Adisa, who returned to win the Belmont Oaks, a filly I hold in very high regards. Villa Marina, she's best going 1.25 miles. My big question is the ground. She's never run over a firm course, always usually good to soft, or just flat out good or soft. So that's my one knock on her, but obviously the connections think she's good enough to hang in here. They knew it was going to be firm ground when they were going to come. Olivier Pellier, he knows how to ride the Santa Anita turf course. He did it on Goldacova many times. So Villa Marina, the French filly, super live chance. Another European I want to talk about, Fanny Logan. She is 5 for 5 at 1.25 miles, the distance of this race, including 4 in a row. I first saw her run in July. One morning, I watched one of her races, and I thought, wow, she is a candidate for the filly and mare turf. She needs to be in this race. And I was so happy when the pre-entries dropped that she was in this spot, because she is just an excellent horse going 10 furlongs, a mile and a quarter. The knock on her, she hasn't faced this level of competition yet. She has never ran in a Grade 1. Her biggest race to date was a Grade 3 that she won last out at Newmarket. Very nice win. However, she did not beat anyone remotely close to the talent of Sister Charlie, Mississippi, Villa Marina, Fleeting, any of those runners. So that's what she has to improve on. She has to be able to step up to this level of competition, but I think she can. She's a very talented horse. Maybe she's not going to win because she's facing a tough horse in Sister Charlie, but she has a major chance to hit the board. The final horse I want to give a mention to is Basilica. She was third in the First Lady last out behind one of the favorites for the Breeders' Cup Mile in Uni. She has 5 graded stakes wins this year. She's been on the board in 19 of her last 20 races, and 11 wins over that time period came at Santa Anita. She's a multiple Grade 1 winner at this course. She likes the 10 furlong. She won the Grade 1 Rodeo Drive over that distance, over this surface last fall. The only reason she really didn't run in that spot was obviously because of the Jerry Hollendorfer controversy. She's now been transferred to the barn of his assistant, Dan Ward. Basilica, she loves this course. She loves this distance. Flavian Pratt rides back. I love Flavian Pratt at Santa Anita, especially on the grass. Basilica, she might not be the level of Sister Charlie, but if you're looking for a play underneath you might get a good price on because of the European talent in Mississippi and Sister Charlie taking all that money, Basilica is someone you have to consider. So my top 3 from this race are going to be Sister Charlie, Mississippi, and Basilica. But Villa Marina and Fanny Logan could be interchangeable in second and third in any way. If I was playing a ticket, I'd play all of those horses underneath with Sister Charlie. Sister Charlie, very shocked if she loses this race. However, all those horses underneath are going to put in great runs and are all good candidates for second and third. The Breeders' Cup Distaff, a mile and an eighth for 3-year-olds and up fillies and mares. The female classic used to be called the Ladies Classic, back to the Distaff now. This race is highlighted by one horse, just like the filly and mare turf is, Midnight Bisou, undefeated this year, 7 for 7. All graded stakes wins, and every single time she's beating horses of high level, such as Elate, who goes in the Classic. She beat Wildcat last out, Blue Prize earlier on in this year. Just a very talented, very consistent filly. She's going to get a lot of speed early on to run at, which is very beneficial to her. She likes to come from mid-pack, kind of from a closer depth. She's going to be able to get a nice pace to run into. She won the Beldame last out and the Personal Ensign before that, both up in New York. The Beldame she had to work a little harder for. Kind of concerned me. Barely nudged past Wildcat late. Took her a while to get going, but at the same time, that's something that I'm kind of used to seeing from her. She's not one who's always going to win by a massive margin. She likes to make herself work for it. In the Personal Ensign, obviously, most would remember that huge epic battle with Elate that she had, narrowly edging her out. Really could have gone either way, but that was a massive win over a very nice mare and Elate, kind of cementing Midnight Bisou as the top female horse in the country right now. Another big plus for her is that at Santa Anita, she's 3 for 4 in her career. Her only loss came in her very first start of her career. After that, she won 3 graded stakes, including the Santa Anita Oaks in preparation for the Kentucky Oaks that year. For trainer Bill Spar, she's obviously now with Steve Asmussen, but nonetheless, very nice, very adaptable to any course she runs at. She loves Santa Anita. It's obvious, the one to be in this spot. Another horse, I think with a big chance in here, if Midnight Bisou doesn't run her best race, is Blue Prize. She won the Spinster in early October in her last start. That was her second year in a row she won that race. She beat Elate and Dunbar Road in that spot too. Probably Dunbar Road, who in my opinion, is the best 3-year-old filly in the country on dirt, and Elate, who's the second best mare in the country, who goes in the Classic. And Blue Prize beat them both. And before that, she absolutely aired in the Summer Colony, won by a very large margin at Saratoga. And she's really rounding into form at the right town. Early on in the year, she was kind of struggling. She, on the board, second and third every single time, but she just didn't look like the same Blue Prize from 2018. Last 2 starts, she's kind of come back into that form. Just in general, a very consistent horse. 20 of 22 career starts, she was finished in the money, in the top 3. Her only time she didn't was in a Grade 2 in 2017, where she finished 7th, and last year where she finished a very game 4th in the Distaff. She very nearly was in the money, she ran a giant race behind Monomoy Girl in there. I like the outside post. She's going to get a good shocking to mid-pack trip, And she might be closer up than Midnight Bisou, which I do like because she can get first run on her. However, she's going to have to fight very, very hard to hold her off late. Paradise Woods is the next horse I'm going to talk about. She won the Grade 1 Zenyatta in her last start at Santa Anita. She loves Santa Anita. A 3-time Grade 1 winner at Santa Anita. But she doesn't always put in that kind of effort every single start. She needs the lead. That's one of the big knocks on her. If she doesn't get the lead, she's going to falter. 2 starts back in the Clement Hirsch, she didn't get the lead. Mike Smith didn't make an effort to get her to the lead. He tried to rate her, and she ran a very dull race. Last time out, Abel Cedillo, new rider, comes in, hustles her to the lead, gung-ho on getting there, gets there, goes wire to wire, wins for fun, wins with ease. So that's one thing, and I don't know if she's going to get that lead because Mosi Cal, Serengeti Empress, and Secret Spice, all horses who are going to try and press that lead. So she's going to need to get hustled out there, and I think that's one reason why she's not going to put in the best run she possibly can, even though she really likes Santa Anita, loves the distance, gets along well with her new rider. She's just going to have to battle early on for that lead, and I think that's ultimately going to be what compromises her from winning the race. The final horse I'm really going to give a large mention to is Dunbar Road. Dunbar Road, as I said earlier, probably the best 3-year-old filly on dirt I've seen this year. Last time out, she was stuck on a rather dead rail at Keeneland when she was 3rd in the Grade 1 Spinster. But she's 4 for 6 in her career. Never missed the board once. She won the Alabama 2 starts back, going 10 furlongs, so we know that distance is an issue. She's going back to 9 furlongs today. And, she was put in against some really top mares in her last start. A really big test against a late Blue Prize. She's a Julie who doesn't turn up in the spot, but she's a Grade 1 winner as well. And she ran a really good race, and I think she didn't get an ideal trip. I like her post. She's going to just need to kind of let that speed clear before she can get to the outside, but she has every chance to run a giant race today. I wouldn't be surprised to see her in it to win it late, especially if Midnight Bisou does not fire, in which case I think she will be up there. A couple other horses to mention, Street Band, the Cotillion winner last out. She's a very talented filly, but I do really question a 3-year-old filly who's running her very first race against older in the Breeders' Cup. So that's kind of my toss on her because, Monomoy Girl did it last year, but Monomoy Girl is a freak of nature. Street Band is not Monomoy Girl's level. So I think that's why I won't see her run the best race that she probably can. Serengeti Empress, a really nice horse, the 9 horse, with the Kentucky Oaks winner earlier this year. She nearly beat Kofefi, the favorite for the filly and mare sprint, in the test 2 starts back. But last out, she was on the lead in the Cotillion, kind of went too fast, and she faded to 6th. She's a super good filly. I think she's honestly better around 1 turn. She should have ran a filly and mare sprint, in my humble opinion. But I think that a speed duel is going to burn her out in this spot. She's just like Paradise Woods. She needs the lead, and both of them are going to fight each other for it all the way around the bend, and then both of them are going to fade away. So Serengeti Empress, really nice horse. However, I don't think in this spot she'll get it done. And my final horse I'll mention is Secret Spice. 2nd in the Zenyatta last out. She 2 and 3 starts back, both in Grade 1s. The LaTroy and Clement Hirsch, she lost by less than a length, put in huge runs. And before that one, the Beholder Mile at Santa Anita. But once again, a lot of speed, and she's just been proven that she's probably not the level of this. She's a nice horse, and honestly, with the right trip, could hit the top 3. So that's one reason why I'm mentioning her. I think she's a very talented, consistent horse. However, I don't think she's a win candidate, but a top 3, top 4 contender for sure. My top 3 for the Breeders' Cup Distaff: Midnight Bisou, Dunbar Road, Blue Prize. Very formful, nothing out of the blue, but I just don't think that's anything you can do in this race. It's so, kind of set on who the talent is in this race. So Midnight Bisou, the 4, the 5, Dunbar Road, the 11, Blue Prize, my top 3 in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. And that's all I have for this Breeders' Cup preview. We'll have more later on the Racing Rundown podcast.
Has faded to 3rd. She's a Julian Wildcat on the inside. They're into the stretch, and it's a late to catch. Midnight Bisou, her fearsome foe, comes at her on the outside, and these two lay it on the line with a 16th to go. A late on the inside. Midnight Bisou on the outside. They're coming to the wire. Who's it gonna be? Oh, it's so close.